Hello and welcome to the SC Playbook podcast out of NRL Supercoach Round 4, proudly brought to you by Mortgage Choice SCW. I'm your host, Tim Williams, and I'll tell you what, there was a roller coaster of emotions across Round 3. A crazy weekend of Supercoach action, starting with the first game of the week, the Panthers and the Storm. Nathan Cleary, owned by 80% of top-ranked Supercoaches, going down early in that one for 2 Supercoach points with a head knock out this week. We get to the end of the round. Manly versus the Raiders. Ruben Garrick, the new father. A father for all of one day. 64% owned by Supercoaches. 157 Supercoach points. 4 tries. Was a demolition against my poor old Raiders. 36% of Supercoaches had their weekend ruined. But then there was a couple of 100-odd max that actually sold Ruben Garrick last week, which takes me to my first guest tonight. Spy, how are we?
Surely a couple of thousand, boys, not 100. Look, I've had better Sunday nights, I'll be honest. I was also crook with the man flu. Symptoms included a snotty nose and something else minor, which absolutely bedridden me yet. Tears included. I was pretty angry, I won't lie. I nearly threw my phone across the room. Everyone in the WhatsApp chat at me, at Spy. I'm like, why are they still meshing? He's just scored his second try. And I think I flicked it off because I had the shits. And then it kept coming. I'm like, wait, he hasn't. I turned back on and he scored again. And I'm like, this is absolutely ridiculous. You can cop a turbo hammering or like, you know, you sell a superstar fullback and you're like, it happens, but Ruben will never score 4 tries again playing in the centres in his whole life as much as I love him. It was ridiculous. Yeah,
mate, to me, I was sitting there and it was one of them real bittersweet ones where naturally devastated for my Raiders getting absolutely poleaxed. Could not do a thing right that game. Everything went against us after defending really well in that first 20 minutes. But Supercoach-wise, I had Garrick, I had Olaquai too. Things were going well on that front. Tommy Starling made about 40 tackles in the first half. Spy, I did have, I felt bad for you. I really did, which I don't often when it comes to Supercoach, but that one hurts. Mate, is that the most painful thing that's happened in Supercoach?
Before I tell you about my most painful, I you know, at one point before that first try, Raiders had just crashed over 6-0, weathered the early onslaught. Starling had his like 30 tackles in 30 minutes. And if we have a look at the stats, Garrick had 9 runs the whole match, which is probably his lowest ever, which is exactly what I said last week. Just happened to score 4 tries in those 9 runs. But no, it wasn't my worst because,
yeah.
You go.
I was just saying, I wrote that in my team analysis on the SC Playbook website from today's teams. I had him down actually as 10 runs, mate, so it was 4 tries in his 10 runs.
40% of runs he scored a try.
What was your worst?
So I did some soul searching shortly after. Went upstairs with the young fella, watched a bit of telly, I was feeling good. Then he didn't listen to me, wouldn't go to bed, so I blew up at him. It was all happening. But I went downstairs, got him to sleep, and I was like, is this as bad as it seems? And I actually came to the conclusion that actually I lost 100 points, which at the end of the day is not that bad mathematically. It seemed so dire at the time, and it was obviously horrible, but I brought in Jesse Arthurs, who scored 95 less than him. I also, what it did allow me to do was bring in Haas and Starling, which is, they're going to make me like 600K in 2 weeks. And the only person I could have sold to do that was him or Turbo. So I'm happy with the decision process, but yeah, how that unfolded was unbelievable. But the side set up well, but it got me thinking, what's my worst ever weekend? I've spoken about it on the podcast before. It's the weekend Manu scored his 190 odd. Heaps of people skipping him. Oh, yes. I had Papenhuyzen the next day, who was in like career best form, and he was about 35 in 15 minutes versus the Raiders, and he broke his kneecap. That cost me 300 points between those 2 players that weekend, which is 3 times as bad as the Garrick one. So put it like this, to be as bad as that weekend, Garrick would have had to score 13 tries. So you know what? 4 tries I can now deal with. I was like, that's actually not as bad as I thought. But yeah, in all seriousness, 100 points, it's a blow. It sucked, but it could have been far worse because what I did to get there has set up my side as good as I've probably ever had it in round 4. It's not the rank I want to be at, but there's a good chance to catch up that in the short term.
There's a lot of people who could take a leaf out of your book, Spy. Forever the optimist. That's why we love your great attitude. There's a silver lining to everything. All the people saying that didn't own Ruben Garrick or Payne Haas, do we delete the app? And a few were joking, a few were definitely serious, but it comes and it goes. So you'll be okay. And
to make it even more like easier if you're blowing up like me, how many times do we leave the bloke on the bench who might score 13 and the bloke you didn't play scores 95 or something. That's 85 in its own. So it's not. It sucked and I hated it, but it's not that bad in the long run. Yeah.
Comes and it goes.
We've had worse. We'll catch it up, crew.
And he's catching a cold here next to me. At least his throat is. 2019 champion Desi Creek. You are here, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I got a bit of the spike off this week. But yeah, talking about delete the app territory, I was there. I also was not a Garrick owner, so I was sitting there watching it in disbelief as well because just couldn't wrap my head around what was happening in that game. Raiders looked really good coming in. Manly didn't look good. And then it all just unfolded like that. I don't see Garrick doing that sort of thing again this season. He might do it once, but it's not going to be, he's not going to towel up 150 every month or two. It's like a very big anomaly for me. So
he's playing Parramatta this week.
Yeah, I still don't think he'll do it. With Turbo back there, he just doesn't get the sort of service that he was getting this week. So, yeah, for me, it was red arrows down to 18,000 or so. So not a great week, but yeah, we're tracking okay.
See, the Spies' attitude in your scenario here, Desi, would be at least he didn't sell Garrick this week. So that's the way you need to think of it, and like it could be worse, all right?
Yeah.
For the Kuma Stallions, we had a good one. We didn't dodge all the injury carnage. We have Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, Dylan Lucas, but we did dodge Nathan Cleary in his 2. So finished with 1,193 points, up to 2,800th overall. So very, very happy with that one. And just quickly, the one around Ruben Garrick, boys. You know what? I'll touch on him a little bit later. Before we move on, also with us, Matty the Waterboy. Now, Matty, you're off to a flyer the first few rounds. Update us. How are you going?
Been slightly humbled, but thank God, unlike Spy, thank God for Ruben Garrick. He absolutely saved my team this week. Same with Olakwatu. I went into the last game, and if anyone on YouTube, camera's not working, don't know what's going on. We'll fix that later.
That's all right.
Went into the last game on 750, thought, oh, geez, I'm in trouble here. But thankfully, them two pulled me out of it. So I ended up with 1089, which was somewhat respectable after the start to the weekend.
What's the rank now? You should be right up there.
Oh, I slid down this week, unfortunately, down to 6412. But
really?
Yeah, still good.
All right, still very good. Great start. Now, guys, again, before we move on, shout out to the Flex, who gave us a flex on the weekend. For anyone who was like umming and ahhing about it, and I'd imagine there would have been a few of those people in Cleary's 80% of owners, this is what it's here for, right? Cleary, super highly owned player, HIA, early in the game, fails it, 2 points, boom, drops out of your 17 for the week, doesn't count Spy. In my eyes, that's a great thing.
Absolutely. It's like it takes a bit of the sting out of something that you can't control there. And as I think I mentioned it last week, even though your next last score, like for me, was 20, that meant like if Cleary would have scored 60 points, right, you're only missing out on 40 points in total from what would have been your score. So it just takes away that real issue of where last year you would have been like, bugger, you could have scored 130. And you're thinking, speaking of 100 points, that's more than what Garrick just did to me. So, yeah, big fan of that. Go the Flex.
Go the Flex. A few others to touch on. Michael Fisher writes the weekly positional watch list article for us. He's in 109th overall, absolutely flying the fish man. And your old nemesis Spy, Matty Ryan, more commonly known as Socceroos captain, he's 1200th overall, Matty boy. How are you feeling there, mate?
Yeah, I had to send him a message today and say, you're actually going all right, mate. And he got back to me very quickly.
Shock.
But no, he's going well. Reckons he's got the head down, and once he gets us qualified for the World Cup, he'll sail up in Supercoach. But I haven't forgotten there's a target on him, so I'm coming at you, Matty.
Yeah. Guys, if you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe to our channel. If you have any questions, if you disagree with any of us, comment, jump in there. It all helps out. Spotify, Apple, wherever you're tuning in from, jump in, like, subscribe, all those good things. On today's show, Team List Tuesday, Supercoach pointers, Katoni Staggs returns. Gurmat Shibasaki survives. Owners exhale. Happy about that one with a key cheapie staying in the Broncos outfit. The major topic for today's show, hold or sell Nathan Cleary. Cleary currently the most traded out player in NRL Supercoach round 4. Spy talk, things you may have missed. No idea what's coming in there, so stay tuned for that. Hot topics for the week is that man we spoke about, Ruben Garrick. Is he a must after reducing the Spy to tiers for those non-owners? Round 4 trades and skippers. Listener questions, Gutho v Pappenhuyzen. If you can only only get one this week. Who is it? Guys, the Unlimited League for SC Playbook. Dill's Dogs, coached by Dylan, leads in first place overall. Not just in our league, he's leading Supercoach. So good to see Dill flying the flag for SC Playbook in that one. Purple Haze, coached by Kalyn, scored 1441 this week. She topped our group, so congrats to her. Another one, guys, for those who are battling in the rankings early on, Carolyn went from 60,000th overall this week to 2.5K. So there you go. You only have to win the week and you'll jump up, 57,000 spots.
Yeah, it wasn't a big moving week. Obviously, the Garrick stuff swung things a little bit, but given how the scores played out, there wasn't a lot of swing between top and bottom for most of us this weekend. So everyone should still be pretty close. And yeah, if you can jag a big 1400, be on the up.
Guys, where does that leave us? The code for the Unlimited League, 434727, $1,000 in cash for the winner of that at the end of the season. And our SC Playbook subscription for less than $2 per week. That's half a bottle of Mount Franklin water. You can subscribe to the SC Playbook premium offering to get you premium articles on site each and every week, access to our booming WhatsApp community with late mail, contributor trade plans and discussions, draft chat and more, full league prize money access, the first of our community events, guys, for 2025. That's in the works. Very exciting one there coming up. Trying to do a few more of those for subscribers this season. Our subscriber-only podcast that drops for Wednesday afternoon. Guys, to subscribe, head to the menu at scplaybook.com.au and hit subscribe. If you're a current subscriber and you're not in that WhatsApp group, check your emails, check your junk email. If it's not there, you can't find it, email supercoachplaybook@gmail.com. Full word, we'll get you in that group. Enough out of me. Let's get stuck into our boys' team list Tuesday. Relatively uneventful, but at the South Sydney Rabbitohs, Alex Johnston named to return on the wing for the Bunnies from a lengthy layoff. Campbell Graham is out with, we hope is a minor injury. That came out of nowhere a little bit. At the Panthers, Tommy Jenkins, really good at fullback for the Panthers last week. He moved to centre. Dane Laurie to fullback. Nathan Cleary is out. More on Nathan Cleary very shortly. At the Roosters, Connor Watson is out. Zach Docker-Clay starts at hooker. Desi, for Connor Watson owners out there, really good 2 weeks ago. Tunned up, copped that head knock, I believe it was, just before half-time on the weekend against the Warriors. Scored 30-odd, set for, not ideal for his price changes. Watson hold, or do you look to cut ties and look for cash generation elsewhere at hooker?
I actually think that Connor Watson is the premium hooker to have this year. He's just running the ball enough, getting big minutes. Like the Roosters, not that bad. They will score points, and he'll set up a couple of tries. So I think he's going to be right up there with Harry Grant for the top hooker to own. So I would be holding on. I'm looking to bring him in as soon as I can.
There you go. So it's a hold from Desi Creek. I very nearly had him round one and went elsewhere, so that's played out mixed after a HIA and a big score. Keanu Kinney out for the Titans. Seeing also a neck specialist this week, which is a little bit concerning. I haven't seen any word on that. I'm sure there'll be more that comes out of it very soon. But yeah, no Keanu Kinney there. Jalen de Groot, a good little live wire pocket rocket sort of fullback there. He not debuts, but plays fullback. Looking forward to that. As mentioned, Tony Staggs is back for the Broncos. Shibasaki, he retains that spot at centre. Huge for our cash generation. Nick Meaney is out for the Melbourne Storm for, I believe it's 4 to 6 weeks there. Grant Anderson at centre. Will Warbrick returns on the wing. Jerome Hughes is out for a week or two, I think it is, Spy.
2 week broken hand, so 3 weeks, 2 games.
3 weeks, 2 games. Yeah. Tyron Wishart at halfback. Spy, I've had a lot of questions this week around Wishart. I mean, my last season was bloody ordinary. It would have been a lot worse had it not been for Tyron Wishart. A lot of people looking at getting him in this week. Hughes needs to be out longer, right? Because he goes back to the bench.
Yeah, I'd want more than a month for Hughesy, but Wishart is very good.
Yeah, he has a place in my heart for a long time, little Wishy. Tom Trebojevic is back for the Manly Warringah Seagulls. Leo Hopewade on the wing. Taniela Paseka gone for the season. Tommy Turbo, Manly mentioned last week that it was very much precautionary. By all reports, Tommy Turbo was raring to go and wanting to play, but they played it safe with his history. Probably a smart move there, and clearly didn't need him too much against the Raiders. Tommy Turbo against the Eels this week. We'll get to him later, but an exciting matchup there. Taniela Paseka, just a little bit of a watch on Manly's minutes there, boys, in the pack, because played 55 and I think it was 56 minutes the first 2 games of the season. So there's minutes to be won there in the middle with Paseka. devastating for him. But from a Supercoach perspective, keep an eye on a few players there. Jordan Samrani is somewhat popular cheapie option before teams were named. He's been dropped. Sean Russell comes in under the wing for the Eels. And Jarrell Skelton named on the wing for the Tigers despite a hamstring concern. So still in doubt, but a good sign that he's been named. Not a heap there, Supercoach-wise. So let's go to our first topic, and it's very, very, very brief. But, Spy, I had a lot of people messaging last week when I said that I was moving Tom Duffy to Tom Starling, a halfback, to a hooker, saying, how does this work? And there are a lot of people who played Supercoach for a couple of years, and that's fine, not a problem at all. We love these questions. They said, how did I do it? I'm going to throw it to you, mate, because I'm sick of talking. Dual positions. Can you explain them for us? And I think that's a great example from last week, how that all works.
Yeah, a little sneaky one there for those that don't know. Basically, if you've got a dual position player, let's use Tom Duffy last week. He was at halfback, right? You hit the trade button.
Not dual position player.
Yep, but bear with me.
Yeah.
He's single halfback. Hit the trade button on Duffy. If you've got a dual position player anywhere else in your squad who also plays halfback, you can hit the little S above that comes up on the app or the laptop, however you're doing it. Mm-hmm. Click the S, they'll go straight into halfback and open up that position. So in that case, last week you could flip Sandon Smith, which I think we both did, up to halfback and bring in a hooker, therefore being Starling. So just play around with that little S and you'll be cheering. It opens up a whole new world of options.
Change things, and we often speak about on this podcast and refer to dual position players, and it might be players that are centre wing / second row or second row / front row. And this dual position for players, it just gives you a lot of flexibility. Of course, just one thing to note there, guys, if you're chopping and changing these guys across a round, whatever it might be, like anything, you know, if you've got Sandon Smith up at hooker and you're wanting to move him down to halfback once the round started, of course, if he plays, he's already played in that round, he locks into that. You can't change him after he's locked, even though he's staying in your team. So, yeah, any questions, hit us up on our socials and I'll help you out on that one. But pretty straightforward, hover over the S and shift them down once you're making those trades. Now, for the first major topic of the show, Nathan Cleary, the Prince of Penrith, the most traded out player this week. He's $727K, boys. Lost $84,000 last week, 146 break even. He's got a 2 now in his rolling average for a couple of weeks. The draw coming up for them, Cowboys at home. So this is when Cleary gets back, I should say. He'll play the Cowboys at home, the Dolphins at Suncorp Stadium, and then the Roosters. I think that's in bloody Perth or somewhere that's no one's home game. It's a great draw, Spy. You're an owner.
Yep.
You're an owner, Desi.
I am.
Kick us off, Spy. What's doing with Nathan Cleary?
I have not even considered selling Nath. There's maybe a world where you could flick him to Nico and then upgrade someone like a Sandon Smith to Cleary, but I wouldn't want to be going too many weeks without him. There's a bit to unfold, and we didn't get an opportunity to see it last weekend. He's playing a lot of first receiver, and the boys are playing out the back of him, which means he potentially loses opportunities at try assists this year. He'll get a lot of try contributions, goals. He'll run the footy more and more as we go. So he's still someone I absolutely want in my side, but I do just wonder, I want to see how it plays out if some of his try assists get capped this year. Either way, though, it's Nath Cleary. I just don't really want to be messing around in halfback. The only option I probably consider is maybe if you want to go Reynolds. You know, in a couple of weeks, he should be worth 750, 800K. You probably will have to forego the Cowboys game for Cleary. But Reynolds is playing good footy. They got a good couple of weeks coming up. That way, you can go straight back from Reynolds to Nathan Cleary. And what that does is you're effectively only using one additional trade because you'll go Hines in and then Reynolds to him. So it's one additional trade. It will be different if you were to go, for example, Cleary to, let's just make it easy, Enough, just for whatever reason, and then Enough back to Cleary. That's 2 you had not planned on using. So the other alternative, I don't mind it if you're just going to do that option to take some points and cash over a really short period. I'm probably going to do that with someone else in my side later on. But I don't mind doing that with one player in your side, but don't start doing it too much. That'd be my thoughts.
Yeah. In Nico Hines' side, I know this is easy to say, but I genuinely considered getting Adam Reynolds last week as an alternative, and I just didn't have the money to do it when there are others on option. But I did the SC Playbook subscriber-only podcast last Wednesday and sort of deep dived into the potential cash generation of Tommy Starling, Peter Mamouzelos, Jamie Humphreys, and then I threw out a wild card on there, which was Adam Reynolds, just because all signs pointed I didn't predict him to score freaking 120 points, but it looked good. It was just to anyone that might have had the cash to do it. But of course, it was a big jump there. Adam Reynolds on him before I get to you, Desi. 612k, scored that 120, and 98 point per game average to start the season. A break even for 3. Dolphins, Tigers, and the Chookies. They're all at Suncorp Stadium, so it's great. Is that an option that you look at, Desi? And I suppose, firstly, what are your plans with Nathan Cleary? Hold or sell?
I'll be holding him, I think. He's the best player in the comp, best player in Supercoach. Not coming off any big injury. It's just a head injury. So I think he'll come back. He'll score well. As Spy was saying, he's playing first receiver a bit. It's not that concerning. We saw it from Hines over the first 2 weeks, and then all of a sudden the Sharks this week started putting Nico at the back. So I think there's interchangeability between some of the roles there. So it doesn't bother me at all. I wouldn't be sending Nathan out of my team anytime soon.
Yeah, and one thing I'll say there is, whilst he is at first receiver a lot, which can slightly dilute try assists, it also means he touches the ball 1 billion times a match, which is what we want, which means he gets the opportunity to show and go more, to run more, to kick more. So maybe that offsets it. Cleary is still going to be class, but I am really interested to see how it plays out. We haven't had a great opportunity yet to see that. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think the one thing we probably saw perhaps in the first 2 games was that because his foil now at 5'8" is Jack Cole. He's a good footballer, and I actually thought Jack Cole was fantastic stepping up when Cleary ran off the other night in that game down there. But it's not Jerome Luai, who's world class. So I feel like they're really shutting, just throwing extra bodies at him, shutting him down, going, you know what, we want to give Cole a bit of extra space. You want to play for him. As long as we're shutting down Cleary, bring it on. But as you said, maybe it's because he's playing a bit more first receiver and not sweeping as much and getting those big attacking stats. But for now, we don't know. And I'll tell you what, for those that do choose to hold, that game against the Cowboys in Sydney, in his first one back, he'll be ready to rock. And that could be a big one. It could change very, very quickly.
6 o'clock game as well. Love it. Still a day game there. Into the Dolphins. That's large part of the reason I haven't really looked twice. We went Melbourne into...
Sharks into Melbourne.
Sharks, Melbourne.
Vegas.
Then I go, okay, there's an opportunity there if that was coming up to say, righto, maybe we do take a Reynolds for a couple of weeks, but he's a hold for me.
So while we're on the topic of Cleary and halfbacks, let's also touch on the 10th most traded in. I thought he'd be a little bit higher, Nicho Hynes, when Nathan Cleary, when I saw that he was the most traded out. Nicho's at 752k, 115 points against the Bunnies on the weekend, an 84 point per game average, a break even of 34. Desi, let's say you were selling Nathan Cleary this week. For those that plenty out there doing it, would you look to go to the tried and the tested, the high ceiling in Nicho Hynes, the 34 break even, or would you be looking for like an Adam Reynolds and that 612k, the lower break even, the good run? What would you be doing?
I'd go to Nicho. I've said it time and time again. There's a reason why I started with 4 gun halves. The ceiling is just there. It's there for Nicho. Some games he won't score that well because he'll be first receiver. He'll chug out a 60 or 70, and some games he'll pile them on and score 150. And you just have to have him. You have to have him while he jags that. Otherwise, it really puts a dent in your overall rank, as me and Spy found out with Ruben Garrick's 157 this week. So anyone who scores like that has to be in your team for mine. And Adam Reynolds, 120, that's about the best he can do. And I think Walsh will probably take over a bit more of that attacking 10, sort of 15-metre ball over the next 3 to 4 rounds. They'll really want Walsh to find his feet. And I think Reynolds will start giving him early ball. It could translate to points for A-Ray. Like, don't get me wrong, it will. He'll score well. I just don't think he'll outscore Nicho over the next month.
Spy, what about yourself, mate, if you had to go between Nicho and Adam Reynolds?
In a vacuum, it's Nicho for sure. But if you get Nicho, you're kind of committing to not being able to get Cleary for a while your cash generation guys, peak in price. So you've got to consider that as well. You're kind of going, I'm going to get Nicho now and then I'll get Cleary as soon as possible. Maybe that's a month. Whereas if you do Reynolds, it's pretty easy to get Cleary back in a couple of weeks if you want it.
It excites me very much as a Nicho Hynes owner, and I appreciate this is an early win for the Stals, but as I said, for you boys holding Nathan Cleary, and I think, plenty will, obviously, for good reason. He's one of the best in the game, if not the best. what's the plan with Nico? Like, you've got him, Des, or not?
Yeah, I do.
What's your plan with Nico Spy? Do you just wait it out or what?
No, watch him pretty closely, especially against the Dogs. It's a good opportunity for us to watch what should be a good defensive lineup, although they've got a few outs. See how he's looking, see how this unfolds. But I'll be pretty keen to get to him as soon as I can. I will have a truckload of cash next week. I'll have an opportunity to get him, but then we also want to have a look at the rest of the side. There might be, it's all good having Hines, right? But if there's 3 other weak positions I can strengthen, maybe that's the priority. So I want Nico, but let's just see how things play out for the next couple of weeks first.
Matty, what about yourself, mate, around Nathan Cleary? You are an owner, yeah?
Yep.
What are you thinking?
Yeah, so Nico, sorry, not Nico, I've got Cleary and Ponga and Walsh, who I'm not keen to keep. So I'm actually thinking I will hold on to 2 of them and probably hold on to 1 of them and probably get rid of 2. At this point, I'm thinking of just keeping Cleary and then putting in Papenhuyzen and Gutho. But my options are definitely open at this point. Yeah.
Well, Matty sorted his trades for the show, so no need to throw back to him. Revealed early. No, fair play, mate. All right, let's move on to the next topic. And sometimes we get a bit more nitty-gritty and different sorts of things here, but they were just 2 huge talking points. Hold or sell Kalyn Ponga, the 4th most sold player. And where this differs from just a straight hot topic of most sold, Spy, 2 words that resonate with you: fullback roulette, a term that you coined, I believe, a couple of years ago, and it is around the fullback being the highest scoring position in the game, and you chase fullbacks with great matchups for these big scores, and being willing to bite the bullet on some early to chase these ones. Not something that I've ever bought into as much as you certainly have. I haven't really at all, but this week I know I'm thinking about doing it, and it does revolve around largely Kalyn Ponga. Kalyn Ponga, 45 points last week, saved his score with a late try assist in that game against the Titans. The Knights are on the bye this week. They play the Dogs in round 5, obviously a good defensive side, but then the Tigers in round 6, who, Spy thinks they're going to win the comp. They're the best defensive side in the NRL, but whilst improved, I still think that's a good Supercoach matchup. Spy, talk to us. Fullback roulette, Kalyn Ponga, hold, sell, what's doing?
I'm not certain they'll get past the Wales in the grand final, but it's going to be a good clash. I did coin fullback roulette.
You did, yeah.
Which was last year, and I trialled it to start
2 years ago.
That was the start of last year.
Yep. Really?
So I came into I could be wrong. My memory's a bit.
Year before.
Anyway.
I won't be checking.
The facts were I trialled it last year early in the season, and I was like, it's not as effective as I thought. Desi, I'll give you that one. I really like it as the season goes on and defences get more depleted. I already think someone like Reece Walsh, who's maybe had some troubles against really desperate sides early in the season, could just go utterly bananas later in the season. So that's when I want to target this sort of stuff this year, hold some trades for that. In the case of Kalyn Ponga, haven't really looked like Cleary to even look like trading him. My scenario is that I've also got Reece Walsh, so he's probably someone I'd prefer to sell.
Easier one for you.
However, who's your 3 fullbacks at the moment?
So let's use it in my example, which I think a lot of people will be in. I've got Tom Trbojevic, Kalyn Ponga, Isaiah Iongi.
Yep.
Iongi, there should be more cash to come. 24 runs last week, just quietly. Shane Parrott a bit more in attack. But so I like a lot, and I don't feel good about it, but I'm looking at moving Kalyn Ponga on to one of, I know who it is, but Gutho, let's reveal it at the end. But look, let's call it is. There's 2 standout fullbacks in terms of cash generation this week and points upside, and that's Clint Gutho and Ryan Papenhuyzen, who are both very, very popular. So looking at moving to one of those guys and basically moving Iongi, once he peaks in a couple of weeks' time, hopefully longer, to Ponga then. So as you always say, Spy, sounds like a lot of trades and movements and 2 trades to get Ponga in and out. But Iongi's moving at some point anyway, so I'm essentially using the 1. So that's where a lot of people sit. So in that instance, how would you feel about Kalyn Ponga sell?
I like it a lot more. If we have a look at Iongi, as you said, he's so busy. He looks so good. He got 1 chance in the 20 last week and iced it. I've always said in this preseason that I think coming into round 4, 5, 6, Iongi could have some success. If he can get up to like 450k or something in the next 3 weeks, you will have to go a couple of weeks without KP. but you bring yourself in another gun fullback, and then you can get straight back to Ponga. So I think it has merit.
And 2 weeks without Ponga, the first being a bye, cool.
And so
you get another gun that week.
Yep.
And then it's the Bulldogs who, I mean, not owning Ponga's always going to scare you. The Dogs do have a few out, but the Dogs' defence is the Dogs' defence. So it's like Ponga against a lot of... Put it this way, Ponga would have been terrified not to own against the Titans. He was lucky to get 45. So against the Dogs' defence, scary, but it could be a lot worse.
I think there's real merit in it. I think you do want to get from Iongi back to Kalyn ASAP.
It'll be 2 to 3 weeks
game.
max.
Yep, maybe you cop the Tigers game, who hopefully are still as resilient as they are at the moment.
And look, but there's also a world where Iongi has a bludger this week, and at any moment, Joe Ash Papali could come in. I could do Iongi to Ponga for next week.
If you need to, you'll find
it shouldn't come.
You'll
to
find
that,
a way, but Iongi, he's busy as.
Geez, he's been good.
Loves a run. Tip of the iceberg stuff for Iongi. Whether it's this point of the season, I'd love to grab him. We'll talk trades later, but I think there's merit for that exact scenario. Not for me at all, but in your scenario, yes.
Yeah, and Parramatta, they go from the Dogs Manly into the Dragons, which is a good matchup. The Raiders, that's up in Darwin, into the Tigers. So there's some good games there. So, yeah. Desi, what about for yourself, mate? Your similar scenario to me?
Yep, same fullback,
what
same
are you
three.
feeling?
Well, when I walked in here today, I was very against it, like the spy, but you won me over in about 30 seconds.
Didn't take that long.
It didn't take, it was about 10 seconds. I was won over. I was thinking to myself, Ponga's been scoring well. He scored 50, did absolutely nothing last week, a junk time try assist. Well, why on earth would you sell him? But as you've outlined, it does make sense. And Gutho and Papenhuyzen look elite. They look like the top 2 guys you want to own right now. I'm almost tempted to bring both of them in, but I just can't do it again with Turbo against Parramatta this week. I'd almost be tempted to sell Turbo to one of them. Papenhuyzen averages, I think, 96 or something like that with the goal kicking. It's just, you can't beat him. You can't beat Papenhuyzen with the goal kicking. You have to get him in. Gutherson as well. It's shades of 2019 when I owned him and won that year. He's in everything. He kind of has to be with the halves he's working with there. He's going left, he's going right, he's everywhere. He's all over them like a rush. Gutho, I'll be getting him in this week, I think, for Ponga.
Yeah, well, so hardly a cut and dry answer, and we're not going to know which one was the right move for a few weeks, but for what it's worth, yeah, I'm leaning towards the Ponga sell. I said I hate it, but there's a lot of logic to it that I think we've outlined relatively well. The 2 people we spoke there, boys, chopping a few out of these hot topics nice and early, but number 3 most traded in this week, Ryan Papenhuyzen, 616K, 66 points on the weekend against Penrith Thursday night, technically not the weekend, 99-point average for the season. -4 break even. The big one, boys, Nick Meaney out, Ryan Papenhuyzen, to our knowledge, I assume, goal kicks. Coming into games against the Dragons, Manly, Warriors, Dolphins, and I think it's Drags in Sydney, it's Manly at Brookie, which will be a tough one. Warriors in Melbourne, Dolphins is at Suncorp, Rabbits, I believe, is in Melbourne, Raiders is at Suncorp, Magic Round into the Tigers. Clint Gutherson, boys, number 4 most traded in at 675K, 130 average to start the season, coming off that bye last week, a -48 break even. So he's the big cash gen play, Gutho. Spy, who of these 2 do you like? Who do you like better, Papy or Gutho?
I don't think any scenario matters where I wouldn't answer Papy with the goal kicking. I love the fella. A bit like...
Well, I thought this time last week that you'd never suggest selling Ruben Garrick, but here we are.
What'd you say?
Sorry, Spy.
It's very uncalled for. Very uncalled for.
But
luckily, I've got King Papy to come in.
Garrick is one of your boys, as is Ryan Papenhuyzen.
The facts are, if I held Garrick on the weekend, he would have got knocked out 5 minutes in. We have a love-hate relationship. Pappy's my favourite player in the NRL. Now that Australia's retired, and he's goal kicking. While I get Desi's take, I'm going to check something pretty basic maths-wise, but he averaged 63 last year. I'd say 15, 16 at Melbourne for the goal kicking, if not more. That already takes you to 80. And 2 of his matches, he played shortened minutes. So if we get Desi's take, I'm going to get his 80-minute average last year and then add 15 to it, because I bet it's about 90
No, we've got the numbers here. Thanks
Timo's ready.
Well, it was actually credit here to Rando. Rando threw this one out for us today and was also kind enough to allow me to plug it into my article.
Nice.
When starting at fullback in his NRL career, Ryan Papenhuyzen has averaged 96 points in the 23 games he has kicked goals, as opposed to 72-point average in the 52 games where he has not goal kicked. There you go, Spy.
Yeah. Well, what I was going to say, I'm just doing it now, was he was 0.86 a minute last year, because he used to be an absolute gun pre-injuries, like speed and all that. Last year, I reckon he was a little bit down on pace in that, still played some good footy, and he still scored at 0.86 a minute, which takes you to about 69 average. Add 15, we've got about 84. I think he's improved this year. I mean, he could, of course, he's injury prone. We know that. But if he's healthy, he looks quick again, quick and confident. So 84 might easily become 94 pretty quickly with Melbourne playing as good as they are. I just think I'm going to back him in. If he happens to get injured or something, he's still going to make me money, and I'll move him on.
Also, to not piss off the great NRL physio, and this could be very wrong, I don't believe he's injury prone. Injury prone, soft tissue injuries, aka Tom Trebojevic, hammies, these like muscle tears, etc. He like Papy, what? It was a smashed patella, one from Jack White.
Can find an injury.
Can find an injury, but they're like structural injuries, I believe is the term.
I'm not worried about his hemi going as a Tommy. I'm not saying it can't, but we're worried about a contact injury. It's because he's so powerful, he's so little. He just plays so hard. I think it just can happen with him. He's a little bit. I only need a month from your Paps, and you have a spell for a few weeks. Yeah.
So physio, hopefully I've done you proud there, mate. I've been listening. Desi, you sounded pretty confident on Gutho over Papy. Who do you like?
Oh, it's splitting hairs. Like I said, I'm probably going to get both of them, but I'll give Turbo this week. I'm probably going to get Gutho this week, actually, just because it would have worked to trade against Spy last week by bringing in Garrick. So I'm just going to go the opposite of him for now. It seems like he's in an early season rut, as per usual. So Gutho, I think he's looking very good, to be honest. The Dragons are, they look okay to me. You've got to play what you see, and the Dragons are playing well. Gutho's got his hands on the ball a million times a set, so I'm going to go him. I don't think he won't continue that 130 point per game average, that's for sure. But if he can average around 70, 80, and Papenhuyzen, say, averages around 80, 90, you can get away with it, get a bit more cash. Cash-wise, I'm not even that keen on it just for the cash. Like, I don't even think if you had unlimited salary, you could win Supercoach. Like, if your team had unlimited salary, you still wouldn't win, because there's only 2 players right now who are the top of their category, which is Payne Haas at front row and Ruben Garrick in centre wing. Every other position, the highest price players are not performing right now. They are not, at the top. So I think money for me, it's not an issue this season. I'm just going to attack the points where I see it. We've got enough money makers, so that's the route I'm going to try and go down and become aggressive with my trades.
You're a wild man, Desmond.
That's
a wild man.
I do like it, though. You're right. At the moment, it's all about, are we picking the right one here? We can afford to do it. Are we taking the right one? And it's good. I quite like that.
The lack of respect for cash gen, boys. I don't know about it. Next week, Spy, boys, we will chat about that when that sort of, we normally do it around about round 5, round 6, when that sort of approach goes from cash gen to points, because it sounds like Desi certainly, he's already gone to points.
So have I.
Well, there you
discuss
go.
that in trades.
I'll be a bit different. So, it'll be a good conversation. Ryan Papenhuyzen for me. I think the draw is outstanding. I think you add goal kick into that. Papenhuyzen, I feel, will get a lot of easy tries and try assists in this just electric Storm side. I think Gutho has to do a lot for it. I don't have as much faith in the Dragons. I know he's the key playmaker in the spine there, but
he's the only chef, whereas Paps has got Munster and those guys there.
Yep.
They might steal points from him. That's my reasoning overarching.
Fair enough. I also think like Jerome Hughes and Cam Munster are superstars who put Papenhuyzen in these sweeping positions just to get these easy tries and try assists. So I actually not that Gutho's a bad buy. Gutho's a great buy, but I think Gutho is a cash gen buy, which is fine. Papenhuyzen has the potential in this Storm outfit and likely, we'd imagine, with no origin concerns, to be a season keeper. He may not, but...
I think Gutho can be a season keeper this year. He's doing that much work. I think you could pair him with Ponga and Turbo or perhaps for the very end. I think he'll be up there in the top 3 or 4 fullbacks total scoring.
Dreaming.
Should we note that pre-injury, pre-kneecap, Papy kicked it 79 and 86% the previous 2 years. He only gave it to Meaney because he was coming back from injury. What if he keeps it?
He could.
Yeah.
100% he could.
Goes, no, I'm back,
yeah.
Mate. Yeah, you go.
Yeah.
Papy
for me. Can't wait to own him. Boys, that will do it. Oh, Spy Talk. Geez, a bit going on here. Spy Talk, things you may have missed. What have you found, Spy?
Not heaps this week because we've covered plenty, but in Spy Talk this week, just a couple of players that took my notice over the initial couple of weeks. One's Zach Lomax, just going through his business very quietly.
There was nothing quiet about on the weekend.
31 runs, was it?
Yeah.
Because he was playing the Bulldogs, he only had 1 offload, I believe. They're very good at wrapping up the ball. If he has 31 runs this weekend, he could have 10 offloads.
10 tackle busts.
10 tackle busts. I was mentioning on the group chat, every time he runs, he either bumps on their back or busts the first tackle. He's so strong this year. He's always been strong, gone to a new level there. Basically, he scored back-to-back 80 odds without a try assist. I think he had 1 line break.
Yeah.
And he hasn't kicked any goals. He missed both on the weekend. Bloody hell. Down to 740k. I am having a very hot look at him this week or next. He's just going to lock him in place of Mr. Ruben Garrick, and they're going to go toe-to-toe, the boys. Zach Lomax. Check him out. Dane Laurie this week.
Just quickly before you move on, for all those reasons, I like him as well. As a bloke who's owned, and I would almost say somewhat gotten away with, owning Brown and Iongi, and I had Hopgood the first few rounds. Far out, you just sit there and go, where are these attacking points going to come from at the Eels? So I think whilst Lomax, there's merit in going early on him, I think their team's just so much more attacking potential. I think once Mitch Moses gets back, he's on Moses' edge. I think that'll change everything. But I think Moses, his recovery got delayed. His rehab got delayed a bit. So he was originally about round 7. It might be a bit further, but I want Moses back. Carry on.
Well, note on that, actually good reminder me, he was either 1 or 2 lines off Dean Hawkins off the weekend. It was the Rocco Berry Warriors line off SJ. Outside in, face ball at the line, and the Dogs did very well to hold him up.
Did he go through on that one at one point? Was that his line break, or it might have been something different?
I can't remember the line break, to be honest. This was close to the line, and they held him up. But if he's going to run those hard lines...
Well, and the other thing, Spy, he's attacking at centre. He's defending on the wing, so he's getting these kick returns.
That makes a lot of sense. I missed that while I was a bit crook Sunday over. That's good. I'm even
more
pumped.
The one thing is they did have Sam Marani there, so they're sort of talking about in commentary, whether or not there was something to do with him under the high ball or defensively if he'd spent more time. So be aware of that. But if that keeps up, that could be a dream.
I'm also thinking, whilst the points are down for Para, they need wins. He's a competitor. He's going to be more and more desperate every week. So just Zach Lomax, one to think about, guys and girls. Very quickly, I mentioned to Dane Laurie, he's now back. We mentioned him last week in the fullback jersey for Penrith, playing without Cleary, so I don't know how that unfolds, but his running game is as elite can get. So you can add a third fullback option if you want a pod there. But
you wouldn't do it. Edwards isn't out long enough.
Yeah, we'd have to find out how long. I actually don't know.
He's not that long.
Yeah.
It's another 2 or 3 weeks.
Scrap him, keep an eye on him. And just on to Iongi, I mentioned before, but I really think he's got something about him. He's with Para, so
he's a gun.
But bloody hell, Supercoach friendly. So yeah, if you're, I'm a bit jealous I don't own him, but I'm not going to go down to him now with Para with these elite options around. Otherwise, I'd happily.
He's averaging 50. He had 24 runs in round 1 and round 3. The ball playing slick. If he was, sorry Para fans, but at a good club, honestly,
a club going well,
a better club than Parramatta right now, he'd be averaging 70, and be a must-have. But at Para, I said, just those attacking opportunities, they're just few and far between at the moment.
They're limited. Now, I'll get through these try assists, the great debate every week. It's too hard for me to reply to everything on social media.
Did you get me a roast last week, or was it all right?
The people were good to me.
That's
very
good
to me.
They're very sympathetic largely for your Garrick debacle as well. People, they've still got faith in you, don't worry.
You're the only one that's given to me about that. But yeah, I just wanted to say each week I'll just touch on a couple that happened while we're still trying to figure all this out and explain where I'm coming from. The first one, Watson to White against the Warriors. He initially got given the try assist. A few people on social media were asking me, and I did reply saying I think he actually will lose it, and he did. The reason for being is Watson went straight off the deck to White, off a quick play the ball. When he caught it, there was no gap. He wasn't in space, and he just ran straight through the defender. So the defenders had a Barry Crocker, basically. Watson didn't come out. He didn't put him in space. If he would have been half a metre to his right and run through and made the defender move, that would have been a try assist. So he probably wasn't far off getting it, but hookers rarely get
Essentially,
those.
He didn't do anything.
Yep, he just passed it to him, and the defender missed a tackle. That's basically it. Now you can nitpick all you want, but in that case, that was fair. There's one I actually slightly disagreed with on the weekend.
Ooh, Spies fired up,
and I wasn't involved in it, but I can see why they gave it. It was the Isaac Tungo one where he caught it and he did a little nice in and away and put the winger in space, which was lovely. I would have given it to him. However, I went back and had a look. At the moment of catching it, it was actually 2-on-none. Then the cover defence came across. So by the textbook, which is why I'm saying they don't necessarily do interpretations. They just have the checklist, I'm pretty sure. If someone's listening and wants to tell me, I'd love to know. Let me know. I think they've gone, yep, he caught it. There was no one in front of him at the time. Therefore, he can't get the try assists. Personally, I think the cover defence coming across, then him doing enough in and away warranted a try assist. But consistency, they just don't do that. It's the moment they catch the ball is what they base nearly everything on. So,
and to your point there, you always speak about who has created the overlap. The way they've adjudicated it is that the overlap was already created. The cover came over. In your eyes, you're saying, all right, well, the overlap was then taken away. Tungo has then created it again within and away on the centre or whoever it might have been. Yeah.
But by the book, the overlap was created, so you can't knock it. That is what it is. And Olakau'atu, he had one close to the line, drew about 4 defenders in, offloaded it.
Yeah.
Hopewadi caught it, passed to Garrick, who crashed over. Pretty sure, I don't think he even scored, actually. Pretty sure it was held up. But Olakau'atu bringing everyone in there, created the numbers, and it was like a 3-on-1 from there, or whatever it was. So that's why Olakau'atu got that one.
Yeah.
And that's all for try assists this week. And I've got a public shout out to finish. Get off your phones during the footy, people. This is my blow up this week. This is life advice. The messages we get during the game on Insta, Twitter, watch the game. This is my tip. Take your phone, other side of the room, plug it in, charge it. Then at halftime, do your stats, do your social media, because must be a lot of people just missing half the game. Phones are addictive, people. Get off and other side of the room, enjoy the footy. Thank me later.
Some serious dad energy there, Spy.
That was some
That's the best advice he's ever given on this podcast.
I gave it to myself.
Yeah.
Because last year I was like, what am I doing here? I just threw my phone across the room. So,
No, I like it. I like it a lot.
and that's Spy Talk.
Spy Talk for round 4. Good going. Now, also exciting for anyone who books an appointment with Mortgage Choice SCW up until the 23rd of May, you're going to the draw to win a $25,000 luxury escapes voucher. Pretty sure Spy's in the running, so he's due a bit of a run of luck. So, take note of that. If you've been on the fence thinking about setting up your numbers for the year, there's no better time than now to get it done, as it could land you a $25,000 holiday. If you're looking at getting into the housing market for the first time, guys, but you've got no idea where to start, reach out to Paddy and his team at Mortgage Choice SCW to learn more about turning your dream into reality. Normally, that'd sting you $129, but if you mention SC Playbook, when you reach out, it's completely free of charge. Flick them a message on Instagram at mortgagechoice_SCW or give them a buzz on 02 9521 1611. Doesn't matter where in Australia that you're based. Now, boys, hot topics for the show, and we've touched on a lot of them, which has been fantastic. So we'll whip through these a little bit before we get onto our trade and captaincy plans for the week, and of course a few listener questions. But number one, Desi, I'll throw to you, mate. Matty Nicholson, the Raiders edge back rower. Zach Hosking still out for another month or so. So the spot is his, barring playing poorly and losing it. But an 80-minute edge man, 336K. He's available at 2RF with a negative 42 break-even. There's cash incoming. Do note there's a 98 from round 1 with those 2 tries, which will drop out after this cash rise. My concern with him is, A, job security if he has one poor game. Not job security, but that 80-minute role. And he's had 13 runs in 2 weeks, which I don't love. What are your thoughts on the most traded in play this week, Matty Nicholson?
Well, I can see why people are doing it. Negative 42 break even, and it's solid, consistent points that he's going to produce over the next month. He'll probably get 200 points guaranteed over the next month. Like, can see him being 50 a game sort of player. He's not going to get much upside for you, so you probably don't play him in your 17, that's for sure. But yeah, for me, I just don't care about making the money right now. The negative 42 break even, it's not like a big glowing neon sign that says buy me to me. So I'm a bit surprised by that. I wouldn't go near it.
Maxi Bryden, with his all-out cash approach, he'd be quaking in his boots listening to your lack of respect for cash, Jen. Spy, what about you, Matty Nicholson?
Shout out to Maxi Bryden. He's just shifted his energy a bit this year, and I think it's going to lead to good things. Watch this space.
Yeah?
Yep.
He started pretty well too.
Yeah, I like where his head's at, 2025. I think he's a solid enough buy without neon lights. I like it without screaming buy me. If there's someone that you're looking to downgrade, definitely do it. But I wouldn't go searching for a downgrade to get him, if that makes sense. If it facilitates trades, if you're looking to get rid of someone that you don't really want, sure. But I don't think I'd force this one. He's okay.
I think you've summed it up very well, boys. You're not going to go wrong buying him, but he could easily come out and score 45 and 80 minutes this week, make a bit of cash. That break even goes to 20 or 30 and he just doesn't make that much. So the key word you had there, Spire, was if it facilitates you to do another trade because it frees up cash. Let's say you're Lucas owner to Nicholson, and then it allows you to go, an underperforming fullback to Papenhuyzen or Gutho. There's your play. But like it, don't love it. Easy one here, boys. Payne Haas, 777k, 140 on the weekend, 114 point per game average. I've got some great numbers around Payne Haas. Beers and break-evens recorded tonight, going live on Wednesday. There's some absolute corkers. For break-even, Desi must have, do everything you can to get him in this week.
Yeah.
Spite.
Yeah, I was literally just messaging Paddy and George. Who we got? I was messaging them.
Payne Haas.
Yeah, Payne in the house. Must own.
My word.
Must own. My goodness.
I'll give you one thing, Spy. You nailed in Spy Talk article last week. You opened up the article, trade talk, Payne Haas, number one target. You mentioned in recent years, hadn't been able to hurt you. His highest score of all time was 112 in 2019. But it was basically new role, running wider, at little blokes, licensed to offload, tries and everything will come. Nailed it on the head. So good work, mate.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it.
Is he a captaincy option going forward?
That's a great question.
He definitely is, especially this week. We'll get to captaincies later. If we have an injury-prone Tom Trbojevic and Kalyn's on the bye and Cleary's out.
Absolutely.
Bloody oath he is.
I mean, this is even crazier. He's a freaking VC option now. So on the weekend in that game, he had the first try disallowed, which there was a double movement or something. There was bugger all in it, the right call. He also had a try assist. Sorry, an almost try assist. I think it was Billy Walters. I can't entirely remember, but it was bloody close. He could have been nudging 200.
Did too, yeah.
Yeah. So he becomes a very real captaincy option now. You're right, Desi. Moving down the list, Spy's going to talk about him in a minute. I know that one for a fact. Number 7, Christian Tuipulotu, 552k, 114 point per game average, negative 54 break even. Desi, thoughts?
I like it. I really like it. I think if you're going to get Gutherson like myself, then it makes sense to pair it with Tuipulotu. He's scoring tries. It's as simple as that. He's capable of going big. He's averaging 113 to 128 and 99 so far. 99 with just one try. So I think Melbourne this week, it's not a great matchup. If he doesn't score, he probably gets 20 points. But with the flex, it makes it so much better to go for guys like this who have the high ceilings in the center wing. So I really like the buy. I can see myself maybe doing it if I'm going to get Gutho.
I'm going to sort your second trade for the week as well, Desi, and allay any concerns of that 20. Firstly, after the Storm, he goes Parramatta into the Titans. The Titans at Wynn Stadium, Combank for Parramatta game. Yeah, I had the same first initial thought. I was like, like, is it chasing points? Yeah, he'll make money, but the Dragons outfit, how many tries are they going to be there? Went through his numbers. All right, so 4 tries in his opening 2 games. He, in round 1 against the Dogs, 9 tackle breaks. Against the Bunnies, he had 5 tackle breaks. He had 18 runs both weeks. So that base and power is outstanding. So
it's kind of always been there. He was taking that many runs when he was at Manly as well, but the tackle busts just weren't there. It
looks like he's stronger. Like 3 years ago for about 2 weeks. I think he got hurt.
Then you add in like the left edge of the Dragons, like that's their hotspot. They hum out there. You mentioned Gutho and him feeding him. So I really like the Christian Tui Pilotu by there.
And worth noting that Saints scored 4 tries in the Charity Shield left wing in 28 minutes.
Yeah.
Andy Finau played, so add that in. They're just hot out there.
Look out. Number 11. I won't throw to you on this one. No, you know what? I will.
You can.
I am actually going to. Yeah. Ruben Garrick, 748k, 157 points last week, a 99 average, 23 break even. Neither of you own. Are you looking to get him in, Des, or not?
No, I think that was a big anomaly. I think he'll still be like the top.
He goes big all the time.
He'll be top scoring centre wing for sure. But if it takes me not owning him for Manly to belt the Raiders, then I will not own him.
It's not an anomaly though, right? Like Ruben,
I think it is. 4 tries is an anomaly. Like,
yeah, but he's got 132 in round 26 last year against the Dogs. He scored 145 against the Eels in round 8 last year. Ruben Garrick has done this.
He was on the wing though for that one, wasn't he?
He was playing centre last year.
Yep.
For the whole year?
Yeah. Ruben Garrick, this is not new for Ruben Garrick at all. Spy, what do you think in Spy?
Does the base offset that? Let's say yes, it was a bit of an
round
anomaly.
15, 2023, 169 points against the Dolphins. The man does this shit.
Yeah, he does. Does the base being a long way down based on previous weeks and especially last week change things at all? 4 tries for 150 plus 7 goals. If that was last year, he would have scored 190 plus. 9 runs, I think 5 tackles. To me, I'm sort of hoping that against the tougher sides, he has a tougher draw coming up after this week. Does that mean his floor is now a lot lower? He's still capable of big scores, but does that mean he lands somewhere around the 70 to 75 mark for the year, which is a really good centre?
The draw's the key.
I think someone I want to get back to after the next month.
It's so awkward because he has Para this week. If Para don't turn up for this...
They have to, right? Because they're 0-3.
Yeah, but you can just not be a good football team as well.
There's also that.
Like, they should get up. Well, to be fair, they got up against the Dogs. Like, they were vastly improved. That might have been their get-up game. So,
yeah. Do they have it in them again?
But, yeah, anyway, after that, Melbourne at 4 Pines again. So, 4 Pines is decent. But Melbourne into the Sharks, into the Dragons.
Bogey team, St. George, very importantly. Into
the Panthers. Look at you trying to talk yourself out of him. Bye into the Sharks. So...
He's a sell.
The draw after this week, very tough. But the Eels game, oh, jeez.
Yeah, scary watch this week, but I genuinely think he's just got his 157. If I don't, and I think maybe have another look at him after that run.
Boys, of the most sold, RTS and Dylan Lucas, 2 and 3, both injured. Kobe Hetherington, 359k. He's only averaging 42 minutes. Playing great footy, not getting the minutes. Break even of 36, so not an urgent sell, but not getting the time, so he's a sell at some point. Jack Gajewski was the trap that we thought he was. At 34 break even, not getting the minutes. He made 35k, he's a sell at any point. And we've spoken about a few other blokes. Spy, trade plans, round 4.
Trade plans, round 4 include... You got there quick. We've been having a good yarn tonight.
It's good stuff.
I've got... The people coming out of my side at the moment are Dylan Lucas, 6 weeks we're told, so must go. Reece Walsh is going to go for Papenhuyzen, as discussed. I just think I'm going to attack that points plus price rise. I just don't want to get stuck with Reece potentially at 600 and then be waiting for that big score, which we know will come. It's Reece Walsh with elite fullbacks around. I want to bridge Papy to hopefully 700-800k and then... either keep him or get someone like Latrell for a sideways trade. That would be the ideal scenario. For Dylan Lucas, Tino Fa'asuamala Awi comes straight in. Love Tino. Wanted to start in round 1. He's now in my side, just locking up that forward pack for me. And
outstanding pronunciation also.
Thank you.
Good,
and Marju, that's who I'm selling, who I could get back based on the same policy as Ponga or a Cleary. In a couple of weeks, an Arthur's or someone else would have peaked, and I'll go back to Greg Marju, effectively just using one additional trade.
So you'll only have Ponga as a knight?
Just Ponga. So it makes me stronger this week. I get to hold Ponga. Lucas is gone, obviously injured, and Marju allows me to get Tuipulotu, who even before the season, I was pretty keen on that left wing. Worst case, he makes cash and we sell him on to whoever we want, but he could be a season keeper if he stays healthy out on that left wing.
Desi?
Yeah, I think I might make the same trade as Spy there with Marju to Tui. I think it just makes sense for the time being. And second trade, I'm unsure yet, but it's probably going to be Ponga to Gutho or Papenhuyzen. It's going to be a coin toss, really. I'm keen on double stacking the Dragons because I just think you got to do that in Supercoach sometimes. I've been a fan of get on players in improving teams that a lot of people won't want. I've done it with Tigers and Bulldogs in the past, so this year might be the Dragons' year to load up on them. Captaincy, it's going to be C on Tommy, VC on probably Payne if he plays before him.
He does not, so give that another crack, mate. I'll come back to you. Spy, your skippers?
VC, Ryan Papenhuyzen, you beauty, a free look at him. Worth noting, it could be absolutely torrential. So Sydney. Yep.
I meant to mention that at the start. Yeah. Heaps of rain for Sydney and Brisbane and Queensland this week.
Yeah, so look, I think early in the season with pretty dry tracks, I think it only really impacts games dramatically if it's been raining for 3 or 4 days real heavy.
Yeah.
And we're talking puddles.
Which it could this weekend.
It could. Having a look at it, maybe it does come Saturday, Arvo or later.
It's coming from Thursday, mate.
Yeah, but the real heavy stuff. So we'll have a look at things. I'm not going to let it spook me too much this time of year. If it was cold and drizzly night game in winter, that actually worries me more, that real slippery footy. But seems to hold up pretty well on dry tracks, previously dry tracks with good surface with that heavier rain. So I'm not going to let it spook me too much unless it's real bad. Then maybe I'll reassess. But either way, I think Papy VC, I think Turbo Skipper. I guess there's always the chance that he could pull out if he ends up tight at training or something, but we'll back him in and see what he can do Sunday, Arvo. But Papy will score 160 anyway, so I won't need to skip. I won't need to captain him.
For myself, Kalyn Ponga out, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck out, Christian Tuipulotu in, Ryan Papenhuyzen in. For all the reasons we mentioned, you sort of summed up Tuipulotu well, Spy, but worst case, if he stinks up this weekend, he makes some good coin and we flip him, but whilst I don't think he probably is, you could have a season keeper. If he keeps up those runs and tackle busts and that left edge continues to hum, you could have a keeper. So happy with those trades. I really want Papenhuyzen for we spoke about him, but the Storm's draw, goal kicking, his record with the goal kicking, with how just devastating Melbourne looked this year in attack, I love that. Even Jerome Hughes out a couple of weeks, maybe there's more attack there for Pappy. Love it. Then there's the option, do I boost? That's going to leave me a fair bit of money to play with, and I still have Dylan Lucas there. So do I do something with Dill Lucas? Reveal that in potties in the back end of the week. Yes,
Should add that leaves me with $400,000 for next week, which will be a big upgrade at 5'8", I'd say. Maybe a Hines. It's just going to offer me real options to do whatever I want to do. So that's pretty exciting.
Jaden Campbell.
JC,
he's
on the
one
list.
5'8".
And it gives me a chance to watch Jaden Campbell versus Munster versus Galvin, a few other guys, but I'm coming in hard after the Garrick debacle. 5 out of my next 6 trades will be absolute guns. So.
You're panicking, mate. That's right. It sounds like you're panicking.
Cool as, bro.
That was not cool as, was it, Desi? He's panicking. My captains, Vice-Captain Ryan Papenhuyzen. There could be 800 mils of rain in the 2 days leading into Manly and Parramatta. It could turn into a game of water polo. I'll be captaining Tom Trebojevic against the Eels. If it's somehow, regardless, he could also get injured. It's Tommy Turbo, but he could go 150 plus in the blink of an eye if Parra don't turn up for that.
Surely he can swim as well. He can do everything else.
Oh, mate, he'll be good at it as well. Matty, trade skippers.
I said my trades before, Gutho and Paps in, and I'm gonna vice captain Payne Haas, and I'm gonna captain Turbo.
Vice captain Payne Haas, captain Turbo. The Payne Haas one in a wet weekend.
Yeah,
we just
I love
spoke
it.
about it, but Questions from the SC Playbook faithful. Spy, one to you early. Pat Phillips, again, a bit of one for players newer to the game, but how is a player's break-even calculated each week?
Break-even is based on their previous 3 scores.
Yep.
The average of those 3 scores will dictate if they go up or down in price. Where that becomes important is if they've got 100 in their score from, say, last week, like Nicholson, who then has a 45 this week, they'll get 1 rise with that 100 in the average. So it's just important to note that. Whereas if you're bringing someone in off the back of a 100 a few days ago, they'll be in their rolling average for 2 weeks because it's calculated on 3 rounds. So.
Put it this way. If Matty Nicholson scored his 98 or 100, whatever it was, last week and his mid-40s score was round 1...
Way more enticing
to buy because you go, all right, no matter what happens, he's going to make better cash because the 100's in the rolling average for longer. Next one from Holland Oat. Big Spy fan. Very big Spy
I was going to say I'm a big Holland Oats fan. So
missed the boat on Jesse Arthurs. Is he still a must-have? Thoughts? # in Spy we trust. I'll throw to you first, Spy, because it's thrown at you. What do you reckon? So he's 459k, break-even of -14, Jesse Arthurs. Scored a try to save his score last week later on in that game, courtesy of a Reece Walsh cutout ball. Great matchups to come. Dolphins, Tigers, Roosters all at Suncorp. Buy or miss the boat, Spy?
Firstly, Holland is also a legend. Big fan of him. I was going to say miss the boat, but left wing Brisbane, maybe you can have one more crack at him, see how he goes. It could end up, you'll make money and you get a free look at him, but someone like Tui Pilotu I'd prefer now that he's had his really big price rise. But yeah, Arthurs is interesting. He could be someone we keep for ages or he could be a sell next week. It's hard to say.
Desi?
Just, it depends how aggressive you want to get because everyone's got Arthurs right. They're going to be playing them in their 17, so it's kind of a good antipod for him, but also it could backfire. So I think if he's missed the boat, he's missed the boat. I would go for someone else.
Yeah, you're right in that he's a great antipod opportunity. Highly owned, everyone will play him. We know he's got a 15 in him. I like him as a buy. You raise a good point, Desi.
He's not a must-have, but he's a good buy.
He's definitely not a must-have, no. Next question from... Who we go here? Scotty Lambeth. Someone touched on a little bit before, but for my last trade, would Cleary to Jaden Campbell be better than Jack Gajewski to Nicholson? Boys, let's focus on Jaden Campbell and that part of the question because we've sort of spoken about the rest of them. Let's say we're selling Cleary. Desi, you sounded pretty keen on Jaden Campbell. Tunned up last week against the Knights. He could easily be the top scoring 5'8".
Yeah, I think he will be. It follows. He's kicked off exactly where he left off last season. He was good last season. I think he can be even better this year. Can probably bolster that average up to, close to 80. He'll be really elite. Like he'll be just behind that Cleary and Hines sort of tier echelon. So I think, the Titans, they'll always score points. Even win or lose, kind of like Manly, they're always going to score points. So you're always going to get points out of him. I think he's right up there.
Spite?
Yeah, I just figured out that trade. So Cleary could go straight to Jaden Campbell with Metcalf going into halfback, and then Metcalf goes straight back to Cleary next week. Interesting.
Well, you wouldn't go Metcalf to Cleary next week with that break even and the 2 in the rolling average, surely.
Yeah, Metcalf will peak though. That gets the Cowboys to score 120. So worth noting, Cleary may not lose that much coin. He could, but if we roll through here and go, I've lost it. This is worth holding on for, troops.
You have a look, Spy. I'll answer a question from Mitchie Bison in the meantime.
85 and 85 the next 2 weeks for Cleary, which is, he could go way more than that. But if he goes 85,
probably
85,
doesn't go less with those games.
Probably not. He'll only lose $80,000. So that's where I just write off price rises and go, well, chase the points. You make money elsewhere.
I'm every chance to buy him. We talk about the break-even and rolling average. The 2 will be in there for extra games. I won't buy him straight away for the Cowboys game, but if he comes out and scores well, he could have a high break-in again, and I just go bang and go Sandon Smith or whoever it might be to him.
Done, exactly.
One from Mitchie Bison. Is it too late to jump on Jamie Humphreys? Speaking of people who will be moved to Nathan Cleary for a lot soon, Jamie Humphreys, tell you what, bloke, fellas, last week, saw his 79 points at the end of the game, and I was like, okay, he scored that late try. mad. That'll push him up to 40 or 50. Score 79. I was like, how? He made like 42 or 44 tackles or something ridiculous. And it wasn't a massive, speaking of anomalies, the first 2 weeks he made a shit ton of tackles as well. Not to that extent, but he just goes, Jamie Humphreys. 390k, break even 24. Desi ship sailed, or could you still jump on him? Panthers this week, then goes into the Roosters and Cowboys.
Yeah, I mean, Panthers this week, he's going to make a hell of a lot more tackles again, so who knows? I'm not sure. I haven't had my eyes on him that much. I haven't really been watching him that intently. There's not that much, there's not that much more like willing me to buy him at all. I don't think he's particularly good buy. He'll lose the kicking quite soon. And Penrith and Roosters back-to-back is not a great draw for him at all.
Latrell Mitchell scheduled, I believe, to be back round 5, so likely to lose the goal kicking next week. I mean, Spy, it is an interesting one with that need 24 break even, the 79 now in his rolling average for a few weeks. It's just a great footballer for a bloke with such little NRL experience. What do you like, Cleary to Humphreys? Could you get around that?
Don't hate it. My concern would be relying on tackles. He doesn't really run the ball much looking at this. If he loses the goal kicking, I think he lands in the basket tonight, boys, he's an okay buy, but not going to go out of my way to do it. Cleary's Humphreys, I probably wouldn't bother, to be honest.
Spy, to wrap us up, one from Paul. Time to jump off Presto being Jacob Preston. You're still an owner?
Yeah.
Bit underwhelming.
Tell you what, speaking of stitched up, he was everywhere in the second half last weekend and didn't seem to get credited much. Maybe just a couple of third man ins and whatnot. I thought he busted a couple of tackles in contact he didn't get. I think he's warming up. I'm certainly not going to rush him out, but yeah, he's on notice, Big Presto. Not through lack of effort. I just want to see him get a bit more footy. A couple of offloads wouldn't go astray. And Reid Marnie and the Dogs, they're shifting to the far edges every time close to the line. I thought he'd get much more attack in tight, which isn't coming. So yeah, unless he starts seeing some more ball inside the red zone, I'll be moving on in coming weeks, but not rushing him out. Yep. He's doing a job at the moment, while slightly underwhelming.
Fair enough. Alrighty, boys, that'll do us for the SC Playbook podcast out of NRL Supercoach round 4. Desi, thank you, mate.
Cheers, boys. Sorry, I was not given much today, but gave my best.
Buddy, a bit harsh on yourself, mate. I thought you were good.
I don't mind that. Standards. Yeah, it's good.
Desi setting himself right up here.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought he was good. Spy?
Yeah, I thought I was fantastic. So, cheers, boys. Tough whole week. So, as always, we bounce back, and Coming Harder is in response. Please. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. Plenty of podcasts to come later in the week across the SC Playbook Network, including actually the Cricketers Playbook podcast dropped over Monday night. Meant to plug this one earlier, but with Maxi Bryden and Rando's stats guy there. Basically what we're doing there, the summer of cricket is over, but as Aussies, we love our cricket. The attention shifts to the footy. It's basically short, sharp, snippets, all the good stuff going on in world cricket. The IPL's kicked off. Mitchy Marsh, he went nuts this morning. Travie Head went nuts yesterday morning. So keeping people up to date with the Australian cricket scene and what's going on around the world in a short, sharp 30 to 40 minute podcast filmed from the Bloke Studios. That is on YouTube, Apple, Spotify. So check that one out. In the meantime, Spy. Speaking of plugs, SC Spy7 on Instagram. Let's get it rolling. I was pretty crook last weekend, so I didn't do much, but I'll be back. Heaps coming this week. All right. Cheers, guys. Have a good week.